This video contains original script writing, narration, music, animation, and editing created by 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏. All analysis is transformative content based on publicly available information. Some words are meant to be heard clearly. Click C for subtitles. Welcome back, I'm Angel. Today, I'm bringing together 3 live streams from January 2026, January 11th, January 21st, and January 25th into one single video. I'm doing this because across these 3 sessions, Kandis used a device we hadn't talked about much before, the Ovilus. The Ovilus is an electromagnetic word selection device with a built-in library of over 2,000 English words. The idea is that a spirit can influence the electromagnetic field to select specific words in order to communicate. So, why do these 3 sessions need to be viewed together? Because the difference in energy is extreme. On January 11th, 𝗢𝗚𝟐𝟐 was joyful. The teddy bear-shaped REM pod was playing with music, changing outfits, and interacting with the audience. The entire atmosphere was light, playful, and relaxed. But on January 21st, the darkness returned. What came through that night was so heavy that even Kandis herself struggled to endure it. And then on January 25th, he chose healing, he chose forgiveness, and he chose love. When you watch these 3 sessions side by side, you can feel the shift in energy, and you can clearly sense where this connection is moving. Disclaimer: before we begin, a quick reminder. This video is a compilation and translation of Kandis's live streams and audience interactions. Many of the messages shared cannot be independently verified and do not constitute accusations against any individual. My role is simple: to accurately document, translate, and organize what occurred, so you can form your own conclusions. Quick overview of the tools. Several devices were used across these sessions. Here's a brief explanation. REM pod detects changes in electromagnetic fields. When something approaches its antenna, the lights activate. Ovilus contains a word library of over 2,000 words. Spirits are believed to influence the electromagnetic field to select words. Spirit Box rapidly scans radio frequencies, allowing fragments of sound to form words. The point isn't whether you believe in these tools. The point is this: across all 3 devices, the messages consistently aligned. Alright, let's begin. Session 1, January 11th, 2026. Theme: Joy. Kandis's condition. She was exhausted. She had spent the entire day making jewelry, her home-based side business. Her hair wasn't done. Her makeup wasn't done. She was wearing whatever she had thrown on. "I didn't prepare anything today," she told the audience. "But I just feel like I'm supposed to go live." She almost didn't start the stream, but something pulled her toward the screen. Tool used: a teddy bear-shaped REM pod, a device Kandis has used for spirit communication for over 7 years. The 3 key moments. First, the outfit change. Kandis dressed the teddy bear in a shirt that read, "Scare Bear." As soon as the device powered on, it went off repeatedly. "You don't like this shirt?" she asked. The lights flashed, almost like a protest. All right, I'll change it." She went to grab clothes belonging to her Yorkshire Terrier, Sassy, the dog who owns more outfits than Kandis herself. She found a small t-shirt that read, "Rockstar," cut a hole in the back for the antenna, and put it on the teddy bear. The energy shifted immediately. The REM pod lit up as if celebrating. "You like guitar, right?" she asked. "Rock music?" The response was clear. And here's the important part. Kandis didn't know 𝗢𝗚𝟐𝟐 played guitar. She didn't know he began as a musician. She didn't know he was a singer before becoming an actor. She was simply following intuition. And that intuition said, "This soul loves music." Second, close to you. The entire session felt lighthearted. The REM pod responded rhythmically, like tapping a beat, like making music. "That's music," Kandis kept saying. "He's actually playing." Then someone in the chat typed, "Meng, let's sing Close to You together." Kandis began singing. "Why do birds suddenly appear? Before she could finish the line, the REM pod erupted. Every light, every sound, all at once. Kandis's eyes filled with tears. "I'm happy for him," she said. "Most of my sessions are heavy and traumatic. To finally see a soul express happiness, that's everything." Third, love from the fans. "Meng, everyone misses you. Do you know that?" Lights. Confirmation. "Can you feel the candles we light for you?" Lights. Confirmation. "Can you hear our prayers?" Lights. Confirmation. "Are you happy?" Lights. Confirmation.
Is that cool with you?
Kandis later said the response felt like Yu wasn't just aware of the love, he was being sustained by it.
Had to put those glasses on him though, cause I might not know you personally, but you were one of the first actors I saw in a Chinese drama, Eternal Love.
One-sentence summary. This session was a gift. Previous communications had been heavy, filled with trauma, pain, and darkness. But this night was different. Yu wasn't a victim. He wasn't a tragedy. He wasn't the terrible things that happened to him. He was simply a young man who loved music, who loved making people smile, who deserved to be remembered that way. Even so, shadows briefly appeared. When his father was mentioned, Kandis felt sudden stomach pain. When darker topics arose, the energy shifted. Yu knew terrible things. But that night, the teddy bear chose not to speak. He just wanted to dance, to make music, to feel the love coming in from all over the world. Kandis later said this was the lightest Yu Menglong session she had ever experienced. A session where everyone could finally breathe. Session 2, January 21st, 2026. Theme, Darkness. Kandis's condition. Kandis was in bad shape during this live stream. She had been sick for several days. She said people were throwing energy at her because she dared to speak for Yu. Earlier that day, she had eaten something she shouldn't have and passed out. She suddenly remembered she had promised to go live, and that's what woke her up. She was barely conscious, still recovering, but she went live anyway. If he didn't want to come through, he wouldn't, she said. Energy doesn't rest. Energy is infinite. Tools used. A REM pod together with the Ovilus. This was the first time the Ovilus was explained in detail. Here's how it works. The Ovilus contains a preset word library, roughly 2,000 English words. It detects changes in the surrounding electromagnetic field. Based on those changes, it selects words from the library. What matters is this: it does not connect to the internet. It has no AI. It does not learn. It cannot understand questions or generate logical answers. It simply outputs words based on environmental readings. So when the words it produces line up directly with the questions being asked, either it's coincidence or something is influencing the electromagnetic field. Viewer warning. This section is difficult to hear. If you're eating, pause here. Key moments first. Guo Junchen. A viewer asked, "Can we ask about Guo Junchen?" Kandis had never heard this name before. She struggled with the pronunciation. Guanchen? Geo-chen? I'm sorry, I don't know how to say it. But the moment she said the name, the REM pod reacted violently. All the lights turned on. Wow, Kandis gasped. That's his friend. They're like brothers. Guo Junchen is indeed a young actor who was close to Yu Menglong. They appeared in television dramas together and were photographed together at public events. Second key message: all 5 lights and a sensitive name. When a viewer mentioned the name Fong Li, Kandis experienced an immediate physical reaction the moment she said it out loud. Her vision blurred, and she began to feel unwell. "I shouldn't have said that name out loud," she said. Immediately after, the REM pod showed an unusually intense response. All 5 lights activated simultaneously, without any physical contact. "That's every light," Kandis said, her voice clearly shaking. She then demonstrated for the audience. Even when she squeezed the antenna with all her strength, her fingers turning white, she could only trigger 1 or 2 lights at most. But when questions related to that name were asked, all 5 lights activated at the same time, with no contact at all. What mattered in this moment wasn't that the lights turned on, but that the reaction clearly exceeded the REM pod's normal operating range. If one accepts how this device functions, this suggests an exceptionally strong energy response at that moment. Third, Ovilus keywords. These were words that appeared repeatedly on the Ovilus during the live stream: plasma, blood, whole, flesh, cement, 7, arm, sink, anesthetic, suffocation, drowning, recording. There was one word that caused Kandis to break down completely: awake. When that word appeared, her reaction was immediate and intense. She began crying, not softly but with full body shaking. "I feel like he's showing me images of being cut open," she said, barely able to speak. "Like an autopsy, but he was awake. His trauma awakened my trauma," she explained. "I was a victim from the age of 1 to 25. I think that's why he connects to me so deeply." Fourth, cross-border keywords. This was the most unsettling part of the entire live stream. The Ovilus repeatedly displayed names of countries and institutions: Germany, Poland, Russia, government, military, sergeant, factory, transport. Kandis asked, "Is this global?" The REM pod lit up. She asked, "Is there government involvement?" Lights. She asked, "Is the military involved?" Lights. During the live stream, Kandis interpreted these responses as possibly pointing to a transnational network. Ovilus words cannot be treated as evidence of anything. These keywords may have many explanations. I am recording what appeared during the live stream. Fifth question, Leslie Chung. This was the most sensitive moment of the entire session. A viewer mentioned Leslie Chung, who died in 2003 after falling from the Mandarin Oriental Hotel in Hong Kong. The official cause of death was ruled a suicide, a decision that shocked the Chinese-speaking world. For years, questions have continued to surround the case. In 2025, a highly influential figure in the Hong Kong entertainment industry, Tiffany Chen, publicly described what she referred to as the final phone call. She stated that less than an hour before his death, Leslie Chung called her in a highly emotional state, repeatedly saying, "I am not sick, I do not have depression," and asking her to accompany him to a press conference to clarify his condition. This account once again drew public attention and noticeably shifted the atmosphere of the live stream. "Did Leslie die the same way you did?" Kandis asked. The REM pod responded. Kandis froze. "Oh," she said, "my throat just closed up." She rephrased the question. "Did he choose to do it himself?" Silence. In Kandis's system, silence represents a negative response. Leslie Chung's death has an official ruling. It appeared during the live stream, and I am documenting it here. What this session points to. What was revealed was not limited to a single individual's experience. Across the session, the messages repeatedly pointed towards something larger. What exactly that is, and what these messages ultimately mean, remains unclear. After this session, Kandis was physically unwell for several days. Her heart raced. She felt dizzy. Her stomach cramped. She felt something real. At least, it was real to her. The dream after. January 21st, Kandis was not doing well. She felt physically unwell. She couldn't sleep. The nightmares kept coming. She said she could still feel what you had shown her, the pain, the images, the emotions, as if they were still inside her body. Work at this level of intensity comes with a cost. But during those difficult nights, she also had a strange dream, not a nightmare. In the dream, she was being chased by small flying devices like drones. She kept running through buildings, up into attics, breaking through walls. But she wasn't alone. Someone was behind her, always behind her, following her, protecting her. She couldn't see their face. They were always just out of view, but she could feel them. The love. An overwhelming, almost impossible level of love. It felt like being surrounded, like being held, like no matter what happened, everything would be okay. In the dream, she wrote numbers on a fogged-up window. 1413143. She didn't know why she wrote them. She only knew they were important. She kept repeating the numbers in the dream, over and over, telling herself she had to remember them, that she had to bring them back. When she woke up, she wrote them down immediately. She searched online but found nothing. Then she asked her audience. Her viewers explained. 1413 sounds like forever in Chinese number slang. 143 means I love you. 1 letter, 4 letters, 3 letters. Together, 1413143 means love you forever, I love you. A supercharged version of I love you. Kandis didn't know any of this. She doesn't speak Chinese. She isn't familiar with Chinese internet culture. She was simply told, in the dream, that the numbers mattered. And those numbers turned out to be a message of love, expressed in a way that Chinese fans would immediately understand. When she learned what it meant, she cried. When I tell you how much love I felt in that dream, she said, that feeling of being completely accepted, completely protected, I've never felt anything that intense in real life. Was it you? A spiritual guide? She doesn't know. I don't know either, but it happened. Someone who doesn't understand Chinese received a string of numbers in a dream, numbers that turned out to be a message of love understood specifically within Chinese culture. Was it coincidence? Or a message delivered through a dream? I don't know, but it happened. And I'm recording it here. Session 3, January 25th, 2026. Theme: Healing Kandis's condition. That day, a severe snowstorm hit the area, a serious one. Kandis and her family spent the entire day preparing supplies. The last time a storm like this happened, they were without power for several days. They eventually managed to find a hotel, but the conditions were extremely poor. There was drug paraphernalia on the floor, and at the time, she was traveling with the baby. She didn't want to go through that kind of situation again, being caught in a snowstorm with a baby in an unsafe environment. And yet, she still felt she needed to go live. Yu was waiting. The fans were waiting. And she had a feeling this session would be different. Tools used. The REM pod, Ovilus, and Spirit Box were all used together in this session. The energy of this session. The energy felt calmer, warmer, more healing. The REM pod's responses were not as intense as in previous sessions. The words produced by the Ovilus were noticeably gentler. It felt as though Yu, too, was ready to move forward. The most critical moments first, Sophie. Throughout the session, one name kept appearing on the Ovilus. Sophie. Not once, over and over again. Alongside it came related words, Flying, internet, computer, family, romance. Who is Sophie? Kandis asked. Through different devices, the answers slowly began to take shape. Sophie was someone you met online, someone important to him, someone he may have had feelings for. Were you talking online with a girl named Sophie? Kandis asked with a smile. Did you kind of like her? The REM pod confirmed. Kandis laughed and said she could see you blushing. You're making me blush, she joked. In that moment, the entire atmosphere of the live stream shifted. He wasn't a symbol. He wasn't a tragedy. He was simply a young man who had once liked a girl. A young man who chatted with someone online. A young man who could feel shy. A young man who loved music, loved dogs, and loved making people laugh. It's easy to forget this. The darker messages can become so overwhelming that they take up all the space. But this moment reminded everyone he was more than his suffering. He was a whole person. Who was Sophie? I don't know. The live stream never gave a definitive answer. But the fact that her name appeared again and again suggests one thing clearly. She mattered to him. Second key moment, the star seed. During Kandis's live stream, there was a moment many viewers didn't immediately recognize as important. It wasn't a spirit speaking. It wasn't a device suddenly reacting. It wasn't even the moment when the darkness was revealed. It was this. She drew a card. The first card Kandis pulled for 𝗢𝘃𝗀𝗀𝘀 was the King of Cups. This card represents emotional maturity and deep empathy. Someone who instinctively cares for others, understands others, and even when hurt, puts other people first. Wisdom, compassion, calm, balance, being guided by the heart and intuition. Sound like anyone? Then she drew another card, a card that, in tarot, usually appears only when a story reaches its end, the world. In tarot, there is a group of cards known as the Major Arcana. There are only 22 of them. They don't deal with everyday details. They deal with one thing only, the main storyline of a life. These 22 cards begin with card number 0, the Fool, symbolizing a soul stepping into the world without knowing what lies ahead. The journey continues through growth, temptation, loss, collapse, and rebirth, until it reaches the final card, number 21, the World. This card does not mean everything is over. It means an entire cycle has been completed. Completion, wholeness, integration. In other words, despite everything that happened, despite all the pain that was endured, this soul was not destroyed. After that, Kandis asked a more direct question. What kind of spiritual being is 𝗢𝘃𝗀𝗀𝗀𝘀? The moment the answer appeared on the screen, the chat nearly exploded. Star seed, grown up. And just seconds earlier, someone in the chat had typed, "Is he a starseed?" Not minutes before, not after being prompted, but seconds before. A coincidence? Maybe. But if you've watched Kandis's live streams, you'll know that moments like this, moments that line up a little too perfectly, have happened far too many times. A starseed, in spiritual belief, refers to souls thought not to originate from this world, yet who choose to come here with a purpose. They often share certain traits: extreme empathy, easily absorbing the emotions of others, a constant feeling of not quite belonging, yet choosing to stay, a natural pull toward music, art, and performance, a heightened sensitivity to injustice. Even when they are wounded, they still try to protect others first. Sound like anyone? Third, justice, not revenge. This was the most important moment of the entire January 25th livestream. Kandis asked, "Do you want revenge?" The answer was no. Clear, firm, certain, no. The REM pod did not react. In Kandis's system, silence means a negative response. Then she changed the question. Do you want justice, for yourself and for others? Every light on the REM pod lit up. Every sound activated. Yes, yes, yes. That distinction matters. Revenge is about making the people who hurt you suffer. It's driven by hatred. Justice is different. Justice is about bringing the truth into the open, about holding those responsible accountable, about making sure this never happens to anyone else. You chose justice. Based on what came through in the session, he did not want revenge. He wanted the truth to be known. He wanted to protect others. Are you helping other children who are suffering? Kandis asked. The spirit box responded, yes. Children. Crying. You're crying for those children, Kandis said. So am I. Even on the other side, he was still caring about others, still putting other people's pain before his own. That was who he was. Fourth, good night. As the session came to an end, there were a few lighter moments. Kandis asked if he wanted to switch to a SpongeBob-themed REM pod. In response, he hummed a bit of Under the Sea. Wrong cartoon. Same ocean. The chat burst into laughter. Even as a spirit, 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 was still funny. Kandis's dog, Sassy, walked into the room. Immediately, a word came through the device. Dog. He recognized Sassy. He loved dogs. These small details matter. They remind us that he wasn't an idea. He wasn't just a story. He was real. And then, as the session ended, 2 words came through the spirit box. Clear, gentle. Night-night. The way a child says it before falling asleep. Like a calm soul, ready to rest. Like someone saying, I'm okay now. Don't worry about me. You should rest too. Good night. This was the calmest of the 3 sessions. Not because there was no darkness, but because he chose to move forward. He chose love over hatred. He chose justice over revenge. He chose healing instead of being consumed by pain. That was 𝗢𝗏𝗏𝗏. That was the kind of soul he was in life. And that is who he still is now. Three live streams, 3 different energies, leaving behind a trace that can be followed. January 11th was about joy. A teddy bear dressed like a rock star. A REM pod tapping along to the music. Close to you. And halfway through the song, every light came on. That night, he wasn't a victim. He was simply a young man who loved music. January 21st was about exposure. The words coming through the Ovilus grew heavier and heavier. Images that caused physical pain for Kandis. Keywords that pointed beyond borders. That night, the weight of the messages made it hard to breathe. January 25th was about healing. Sophie, starseed, justice, not revenge. And in the end, a soft, gentle goodbye. Night-night. These 3 sessions were not answers. They were 3 states, 3 directions, 3 choices. If you've made it this far, thank you for spending your time here. If there's anything that felt unclear or anything you'd like me to explain further, you're always welcome to leave a comment. I'll do my best to clarify and fill in the gaps. I hope what you found here offered some value, something to understand or something to think about. Thank you for being here, for listening, for taking the time. If you'd like to stay, you're welcome to subscribe. And if you feel like it, you can leave a comment just to let me know you're here. Because every voice matters, and yours does too. I'm Angel. May the light be with you.
Why do birds still sing at dawn, when the night felt way too long? Why does silence feel like home, when I hear your heart alone? Every star that finds the sky, every tear you try to hide, every time you say my name, I am closer than you think. You don't see me, but I'm there, in the breath you didn't know you shared. Just like birds that suddenly appear, every time you feel me near. Just like stars that light the dark, I never left you, not for a part. I'm in the songs you play at night, in the quiet, in the light. You don't have to call my name, I'm close to you, always the same. Why does music hold your hand, why words don't understand? Why does love refuse to fade, even where we're worlds away? Every prayer you whisper, every candle's gentle glow, every time your heart feels weak, I'm the strength you couldn't see. No goodbye, no final sound, just a love that turns around. Just like birds that suddenly appear, every time you feel me near. Just like stars that light the dark, I never left you, not for a part. I'm in the songs you play at night, in the quiet, in the light. You don't have to call my name, I'm close to you, always the same. This love could cross the sky, if time could learn to bend, then every tear you ever cried would turn into until we meet again. Just like birds that suddenly appear, right here, right here. Just like breath that never ends, I find you again and again, in your dreams and morning blue, in everything you do. Close your eyes, feel it too.